Every day you hear of new Messis, Ronaldos, Maradonas, only to never hear of them again. One footballer had, and maybe still has, a legitimate claim to be the new Gareth Bale and Marcelo in one. Ryan Sessegnon made his senior debut at Fulham in the Championship, aged just 16 years and 18 days. A child given hardened fullbacks education in the art of dribbling in between doing his homework. In his debut season, Ryan Sessegnon was satisfied with only 12 goal contributions, playing more as a left-back and making the league's team of the season, the youngest ever player to do so. Unless it wasn't obvious, a new star was being born. Sessegnon upped the ante in the following 2017-2018 campaign, 16 goals and 6 assists in the Championship, numbers that would be great for a striker. Sessegnon's output was boosted by the fact he was no longer a fullback, he was the entire left flank. Sess was unstoppable in most games, galloping down the left and fearlessly taking on the opponents. Does that sound familiar? No wonder Ryan Sessegnon was compared to Gareth Bale by pretty much everyone. No wonder the famous Welshman was the model for the youngster. Bale was just so energetic, powerful and pacey. I remember the Spurs game against Inter Milan. I always watched those videos and tried to emulate my game on what he was doing. Fulham head coach at the time, Slaviša Jokanović, invented an even more elaborate comparison. People compare Ryan to Bale. For me, he's a mix between Bale and Marcelo. He's ready to be a left-back of a big team that constantly attacks. The big team for Ryan Sessegnon turned out to be Tottenham. The same Tottenham where young Bale dazzled England and Europe and earned himself a world record transfer to Real Madrid. But Sess was careful about his development. Rather than taking the big leap from a championship side to a Champions League contender, he first spent a full Premier League season in a familiar environment. 8 goal contributions wasn't a bad return for a youngster in a promoted side that weren't allowed as much offensively as they were against weaker opponents. Fulham failed to stay up and Sessegnon had no reason to go back to playing in the second tier. So in the summer of 2019 he joined Spurs to continue his rise. The thing is, Sessegnon came with a hamstring injury, though it didn't stop Spurs from paying £25 million. If anything, it was a testament to their belief. But there's another thing. The head coach at the time was Jose Mourinho, and the Portuguese didn't offer much enthusiasm to the elated Spurs fans. In particular, Jose didn't like Sessegnon's defensive qualities, and for Jose, being weak defensively is like having one leg. Mourinho said after one game, "Ryan always arrives in dangerous positions and he's a good finisher, but he can improve. He lost too many individual duels. The potential is there, but he has to develop." A loan move was in the best interests of everybody, and Sess joined Hoffenheim for a year when Germany was all the rage for young English footballers looking to grow. For whatever reason, Sess didn't set the world on fire there, and when he came back to Spurs, another disciplinarian was in charge, Antonio Conte. Yet unlike Mourinho, Conte found Sessegnon not just talented but also reliable and used him as an example for other young players at the club. What's more, Conte's famous 3-5-2 actually has a place for a player like Sessegnon, the wing-back role so crucial to the Italian. But just as Ryan started to get going, a fresh hamstring injury struck. As he was mixing spells on the sidelines with sporadic appearances, his form took a dent and he also suddenly lacked the end product. Conte kept praising him, but it was obvious Sess wasn't even half the player he had been at Fulham. In his only Premier League campaign with Fulham, Sessegnon completed more dribbles than in 3 years at Spurs combined. Same goes for goal contributions. Every time he was meant to come back and start again, the hospital bed came calling for him. Hamstring, hamstring, hamstring. By the age of 23, Sessegnon has had 5 hamstring injuries, not to count other setbacks. The thing about hammies is that once you injure them, it can become a recurring nightmare. In addition, the psychological aspect is equally important. You trust your body less, and it shows in Sessegnon's game. He is no longer the swashbuckling predator unafraid of anyone. He is quite the opposite, and the cause of fear is his own body. A question to ask is, how did it come to this? Perhaps it was the fact he was overworked as a kid. Sessegnon made 50 England appearances at various youth levels. He was also regular for Fulham in the Championship, perhaps the most physically demanding league in the world. It could also be the fact he bulked up and increased the stress on his body, something his peer Reece James is something accused of. In the summer of 2023, Sess hired a world-famous specialist to fix his hamstring for good, but got re-injured in February 2024. At this point, you wonder if retirement is a possibility. It would be such a shame if Ryan Sessegnon is forced to retire so early. An obvious claim, but just how sad it would be if a prodigy like few others would end up playing his best football before coming of age. Do you believe Ryan Sessegnon could still fulfill his potential? Let us know in the comments, and also like this episode if you enjoy it, subscribe and hit the bell icon. See you in other videos on the channel!